Hello, friend. Welcome to our room. I'm Bronwyn.
I'm Eleanor, and we're here to talk about grade 4. Specifically, our grade 4 year, which took place in 1988.
Why? Well, a few reasons actually, but the biggest one was to answer a question that dogged us after reconnecting 35 years later. What if we would have been friends?
We've actually known each other since kindergarten, and we're in the same cohort all the way to high school. Really, for two people who were never friends, turns out we have a lot in common.
And we were actually navigating a lot of the same challenges, yet in very different ways, especially around being queer and discovering our gender identity.
So come on in, grab a spot, bring your inner 8-year-old. This is Late in 88. My first reaction is to actually feel a little bit ashamed about the things that I did to belong and what I sacrificed to fit in. Hiding who I am, hiding my queerness, staying quiet about things. I've carried shame about that because it's the easy way out.
There are two sides to the coin. Either you step back in an effort to protect yourself, you don't do it. Or in my case, where I stubbornly refused to, because I just couldn't. It was so fucking wrong. And obviously we can tell now, being non-binary and like all these other things that I've over 40 years now come to figure out. It's been really good even just to get sober and realizing that being vulnerable is actually a strength. It's not a weakness.
So how did this all start?
Well, I mean, it was pretty simple, actually. We just started talking and then recorded it.
Like everyone does. We
Like
recorded
you
our
do.
conversations like every normal person does.
Nothing weird about that at all.
Okay, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Wonderful. I certainly can.
Okay, and I'm hitting a level on you. It's a miracle every time.
Beautiful.
I remember
November 3rd, 2022.
I totally forgotten about
We're going to break the classroom into a binary. Like she was the safer side of the girl group.
If he sat next to you, it was fucking.
I wasn't sitting at home at night in my room as like an 8-year-old going, I just wished I belonged. I wasn't
a blender, and I was like, what? That is my brain.
The first
Yeah,
really
it's like
years
the blender that is
you're
my
just
brain.
Reading like a ping pong ball, like bouncing.
So for us, this was more than reminiscing. This is more us like reintroducing ourselves to each other, and like who we are today, as much as it was who we were back then.
Yeah. And really these conversations and this desire to talk more about grade 4 really started when you came out as non-binary. And it just made so much sense.
It's one of those things, like we didn't grow up with that language, but I do believe that if we had it and I was younger, I absolutely, from the jump, would have been like, yeah, I'm non-binary. I'm not a boy. I'm not a girl. But in 1988, you were either a boy or a girl.
Yeah, I was not very good at being a girl.
Well, obviously, I was not either.
Yeah. Well, we were the two tomboys in our year, which it's weird we weren't friends.
Yeah, or maybe it's why we weren't.
Good point. I don't know if you would remember this, but my most vivid memory of you is one day on the playground at the tire swing.
Not really.
We had this exchange. I wanted to go on the tire swing, pretty simple. I saw you swinging and I was a little nervous because you had a reputation of being mean or scary. I had never experienced it, but there I was sort of quote unquote alone with you. And I waited quietly and you got off. You looked at me and I looked at you and I just saw something in your eyes that was kind. Then you went off, didn't say anything. I got on the tire swing and just played, but it was a moment of me experiencing this dichotomy of maybe there's something different going on inside that person versus what the other kids are saying or what story I've made up about them. And I've never forgotten it. Do you have any memories of me from that time?
Not really. Not gonna lie. Like, I mean, there's some, but like nothing that is like as cool and poignant.
Yeah. It's okay.
But as we were sharing like memories in general, it was interesting to see how, in a lot of cases, like childhood memory is very murky and muddy.
And strange.
Yeah.
Was it grade 4? Was it grade 6? Was it grade 2? Was that how it actually happened, or is that just how I felt about it?
Exactly. And after much deliberation, we got it down to like few people who we figured would probably remember us. And sadly, it's kind of a short list.
It's also the people who said yes.
Yeah, fair.
Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Hello, there you are.
Hey.
I'm hiding in my kid's room.
I can tell. I love the polka dot backdrop.
Hello.
Hi, Dave.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good.
So good to see you both.
Hi.
Yeah, you too. Holy crap.
Hi. These are the kids we grew up with. Kate, Shalini, Dave, and Amanda. First, we asked them to remember Bronwyn.
I remember really specifically this like water balloon throwing incident, like it was like a situation.
I remember Bronwyn and Yara. For some reason, there was an incident. I don't know if you remember that. There's something with a lunchbox.
God, always an incident. Why was it always an incident? I guess you could ask the principal that question. I was in that office so many times.
You were just like so agile and strong and running around.
You always had this energy about you, Bronwyn.
It looked like you were somehow freer or liberated. I just thought you were making this amazing choice to not conform.
I felt like the boys respected you and like saw you as one of them in this way that I was like, oh, that's so foreign to me. Like I have no idea what it would be like to be respected by the boys in that way.
Grade 4 Bronwyn was definitely on the low end of the pecking order of the nerd boys group. I was so crazy insecure at that age. I knew I was different, but I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what gay was. I wore boys' clothes always. It was like jeans or track pants. I was wearing a graphic tee of some kind. I had long hair. I've always had long hair. I like to self-actualize my lunchbox with stickers. I loved Tiger Cats all day. I liked He-Man and She-Ra. Like those were my action figures. Some of my favorite memories are playing D&D or hanging out with one of our friends' place who had a trampoline. There were moments that it was like the most fun I've ever had in my life. I had this very tough outside to protect my squishy insides and also to protect my position with the boys. I had to punch down the ladder like an asshole. I was a bully.
I remember you more as a figure in the group with the boys because I was a visitor. I can remember the sound of your voice, and strangely, I remember it as being deeper than the voices of the boys. Which is kind of funny, actually, but It was. I'm remembering it before their voices changed.
Right.
I can remember there being a tension around you. You had a different kind of presence than other people. I wasn't uncomfortable with it. Didn't make me uncomfortable.
One of very few.
Yeah.
Even the teachers didn't quite know what to make me.
That could have been why you left me alone, too.
I never felt threatened by you.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times I would lash out and bully people. It was like a defense mechanism. It's like, oh, I'm going to hurt you before you hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
And in some cases, it was punching down. It was like, I'm getting bullied and these boys are bullying this set of girls. So I, too, will bully this set of girls.
Okay, Shalini. Bronwyn told me that you potentially were exposed to their childhood bullying. Is that true?
I'm pretty sure I bullied lots of people.
Did Bronwyn ever bully you?
Bronwyn never bullied me ever.
I thought, oh, come on. I'm almost positive because I bullied like everybody.
No.
No?
Bronwyn, I have very fond memories of you.
Wait, what? No. What? What? For like 35 years. In my mind, I have these like vivid memories. I guess like I just felt, I don't know, like maybe they're not memories.
I remember you going at it with a lot of people, for sure. But it wasn't me, Bronwyn.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
I was like the meek little girl on the backside anyway. It took me a long time to grow into the person that I am today.
I always carry this guilt of how I could have sworn again. Is she gaslighting me in a good way? No, you were a better person than you actually remember yourself to be? I am so confused. What even are my memories right now? Are these like elaborate stories I've constructed of myself to create a more interesting historical character? Or are they actually things that happened? Oh my God, this just flips the table on my whole brain.
It really felt like, Bronwyn, you were part of our group a lot of the time. And Ellie, it felt like you were maybe a visitor some of the time.
Eleanor, I don't think you and I spent a lot of time together, to be honest.
I had a really good relationship with you, Ellie. I always felt like we were pretty tight.
You had an older sister and you just seemed to know music and pop culture stuff.
Is that it? Pop culture stuff? Compared to Bronwyn, I sound so boring. I guess my strategy to keep my head down and fit in worked better than I thought.
So tell me more about who Eleanor is as you remember her.
Grade 4 Eleanor,
Yeah.
otherwise known as Ellie at the time. My parents gave me the name Eleanor and never used it. They only called me Ellie. So even on my school attendance sheet, it would say Eli Svoboda, because my name is spelled Elinor. So every first day of school, it was Eli Slobody. So who knows, maybe my own gender identity issues came from being called Eli all the time. I'm pulling up this little photo I found of myself. I have a Garfield t-shirt on and I'm being goofy. I was really into drawing. I wanted to be a comic book artist. And I think I probably came off as being pretty happy-go-lucky. I was a friendly kid.
I definitely remember you as being a cool kid. And I do remember you being a little timid in a sense. And like even out of your group, I don't remember you being the most boisterous.
In grade 3, I went through a lot of health stuff. So I had a number of surgeries. In grade 4, I was out of that, but I still had a lot of discomfort in my body and social anxiety. I remember being very confused socially because it was when the girls started being mean. Lunch hours became more about talking and gossiping. I really took a lot of refuge in being physical. So I remember drifting a lot and trying to find a comfort zone. I think why inevitably I would find my way over to what the boys were doing, because it always seemed a lot more simple than what the girls were doing.
Whew, well, that was an interesting exercise.
To say the least. Any insights you want to share with the room?
It never ceases to blow my mind when you hear what other people have, like how they saw you from the outside, because it is such a juxtaposition to how I felt internally and how insecure I felt in those moments. And so to hear that these other people who, you know, I kind of thought were cool or like really smart, to hear that they thought that I was like strong and liberated and respected by the guys, it's actually kind of healing in a way. And not just in an ego, like, oh yeah, people think I'm fucking strong and stuff. It's like little Bronwyn feels just a little bit more confident about themselves. They stand up a little taller inside.
Well, and you fought really hard to be yourself. So maybe it was worth it.
Yeah, a little validating. I do think that when you're able to live authentically, it is incredibly empowering, even in the face of great adversity. I believe that because I allowed myself to be, like I knew who I was and I embodied that, it made me stronger to take on those things. Like, you can't chisel me down because, no, I know who I am. But if I was like trying to hide who I was, that's an incredibly vulnerable position to defend from.
For me as a kid, I felt it was better to hide myself like I was benefiting people and myself. And so I feel emotional because I spent so much time being afraid. And I was just so skittish and bopping in and out and not really committing to anything. And in a way, I was doing it to, quote unquote, keep people happy and to keep things peaceful and to get out of the way and not be hurt. But I was actually depriving people of my authenticity.
Part of the reason I was able to live so authentically at school was because my family allowed me to live authentically at home. They empowered me that way. So I was very, very fortunate. Family life was not perfect at home, but like that was actually one thing they very much got right. There is a certain amount of self-preservation that has to happen. Only you can know what is safe for you at the time. Because when you're a kid, you don't have a lot of power.
I did feel very vulnerable a lot of the time. And I experienced abuse as a kid. So it was a warranted state of protection. For me, I realize now that some of that was protecting my authentic self until I felt safe to come in.
Right.
Or come out. Or come in and out. Because I never killed her. And so in that, I feel thankful to that 8-year-old Eleanor for how hard she was working to navigate all the things that made her nervous.
Right.
And likely having fun along the way, because that's what kids do.
Yeah.
So that she could get me here to where I am now.
Yeah. It's interesting how, in our own ways, and even being alone, we were still incredibly strong, whether it was the way people saw us as strong, or even now reflecting back, seeing like, wow, that little 8-year-old really carried more than their share. Even though we made different choices to protect ourselves in those moments, we still really followed kind of a parallel path. The world kind of separated us into a binary and created this fake canyon between us. How comforting it might have been if there had been a bridge where at some point we could have crossed over and been there for each other.
Mm-hmm. Would it have made a difference?
Yeah.
Is the question.
Yeah.
What if we would have been friends? To have a bridge to cross over in that 8-year-old way, not in a grown-up way.
Yeah.
But in the way that 8-year-olds can be there for each other, just to have someone to play with and someone who is okay with the way you are. You don't have to worry about being teased.
Yeah.
You know?
Because they're weird just like you.
They're weird just like you. I think we should keep investigating.
Yeah.
I think there's more doors to unlock.
Well, we just really unpacked a steamer trunk full of shit all over this room, didn't we?
It's a bit messy.
Sorry about that, friends.
Bit graphic, dude.
Sorry about that, friends. We made a bit of a mess all over this room. But I gotta say, even adult Bronwyn right now and little 8-year-old Bronwyn is really glad that we don't have to unpack this alone. I really appreciate you being here and having these difficult conversations and unpacking your own truth around this whole unique time frame.
Well, we're having so much fun digging into the past.
That sounds really facetious. Like we're having so much fun carving up our hearts.
Yeah, pretty much. Listen, this is what I do for fun. I don't know what you do for fun, but I carve out my heart and put it on the table.
Super good fucking time.
Shine a bright light on it, make a mess, and that's what I do for fun. So let's keep doing it.
Honestly, the logical next step, I think,
is to go home.
Yeah. Calgary, Alberta, Canada, 1988. A year which it seems like so many things happened.
Including the Winter Olympic Games.
Yeah, kind of took over everything, to be totally honest. But in the end...
What a year to be an 8-year-old.
Oh my God. Can't wait to have you back in the room next time. We'll see you then.
See you then.